Hello everyone, how are you? Once again, welcome back to Kenyan Anarchist. In the rhyme of telling lies, the President William Ruto is second to none. He is the master of double speaking and an architect of political spin and manipulation. He is adept at crafting narratives that often blur the lines between truth and fiction. Today, let's discuss the myth of hustler nation in Kenya and subsequent lies of President William Samoei Ruto. In the arena of political space in Kenya, leaders are often known for specific character they are notorious for. President Jomo Kenyatta, for example, was known for land grabbing as he displaced many native Kikuyus from their land. Many Mount Kenya leaders have called for the first family to consider returning some parts of land to Mau Mau fighters, but the call have often been brushed aside. While Moi's regime was notorious for corruption and scandal, his main point of reference is the massive torture campaign that ran in the Nyayo House, claiming the lives of many Kenyans and at the same time maiming thousands, if not millions. President Mwai Kibaki was no saint. The regime of the late President Mwai Kibaki witnessed many scandals, including Anglo-Leasing scandal and even the stealing of 2007 presidential election that led to the massive bloodbath in the country. The regime of President Uhuru Kenyatta was littered with many scandals, including the high-profile assassinations such as those of Chris Msando, the NIOIS scandal, the Eurobond scandal, the KEMSA scandal, among many multi-billion corruption cases. Many might attribute President William Ruto to billions of shillings stolen from the public coffers. His most visible characters, however, are the endless stream of lies and most notably, the myth of mass hustler nation. President William Ruto has often attributed his rise from grass to grace to the consistent hard work and determination. For him, hard work is often the pinnacle of his success, as he usually refers to himself as the hustler number one in the Republic of Kenya. President William Ruto resonated well with the majority by terming his campaign the hustler nation in a country with massive divide between the rich and the poor. According to Ruto's logic, hustler nation is a nation that has not embraced top-down approach that has often been used to run the economy. But
mara mbili, mimi nawauliza, safari hii nikisaidia mahasla, mtu ya mama mboga na yule wa mkokoteni na huyo wa wheelbarrow na huyo wa bodaboda, kuna makosa? Kuna makosa?
Rather bottom-up approach to empower average Kenyans.
Nawauliza kwa unyenyekevu.
While idea of bottom-up is highly welcoming, it was alarming to believe that career politicians like William Ruto can drain the swamp enough to overhaul the entire system and empower the average person. According to basic economic fundamentals, the bottom-up approach to economic development will involve the investment in small business and youth, rather than the politicians, established billionaires, and mega corporations. According to the initial sentiments of President William Ruto during the campaign trail and immediately after the elections, the idea of the regional kingpin was foreign to him, and he will always ensure that he works with the people down the chain. Ruto was not the people's darling when it comes to the best person for the seat of the presidency, but his ideas strongly resonated with the common mwananchi. According to the Nazi Joseph Goebbels, if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. In the realm of repeating lies, Ruto is the Kenyan's definition of Joseph Goebbels, the chief minister of propaganda in the Nazi regime. During his campaign days, Ruto said, and I quote, "The government is going to be the government of mama mboga, boda boda, na wafanya biashara wadogo wadogo." At some point, his sentiment was, there is a shortage of fools in Kenya. There is no shortage of leaders as we speak. but rather we need to work towards the average Kenyans. And yet again, Ruto will say, my government is not a government of positions, but rather a government of work for the common wananchi. The collective philosophy in Ruto's campaign trail were collectively called the Hustle Nation, envisioning its dream of overhauling the entire system in the favor of an average person. With all the promises during the campaign trail, many Kenyans were excited about their expectations on the promises ahead. Things, however, immediately turned out to be the opposite of expectation, just when the president's inauguration was over. Kenyans quickly realized the myth of the Hustle Nation was the fallacy when Ruto nominated only career politicians into his cabinet rather than the single face of the struggling class. Ruto then quickly appointed and eventually approved over 20 cabinet administrative secretaries, a position foreign to the Kenyan constitution. As Kenyans reminded him of his promises to obey the will of the people and detested the nomination of 20 CSSs, President William Ruto quickly introduced a sham national consensus and approved CSSs, all the CSSs, contrary to the will of the people, the parliament standings, and the constitution. President William Ruto then lied that such a nomination is according to the national consensus and people's will. For a country struggling to pay external debt, Ruto is reported to shall have made 51 foreign trips between July 2022 and June 2023. What is even more shocking, however, was the 200 million private jet that the president hired while lecturing Kenyans on the need to live within the means. For a president who promised the hustler to cut on the debt burden, Ruto's appetite for borrowing is the highest in Kenyan history, with estimated 1.5 trillion in the added debts within the first 10 months in office. Such a speed of borrowing is second to none, and only closely followed in a distant second by Uhuru's record 875 billion for the first 2 years in office. While William Ruto promised that there will never be money for corruption if he ascended to power, the ballooning public debt and unexplained government expenditure are often attributed to the budgetary corruption. In the period of shy of 2 years, insiders in government of President William Ruto, such as Kindiki, had their net worth rise by over 200 million, while the governor Sakaja is estimated to have accumulated multi-billion properties all over the country. With all the due respect, Hustler Nation was a myth and a campaign tool peddled by President Ruto to win the elections